Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Covenant Cast. I'm Zach.
And I'm Steven, and we're going to be talking about a number of things happening this past week. One of them, the Champions update on the app, dealing with Gordrak
a big
and
change.
the Destruction folks. We've also got a KeyForge release date, which is a big deal, and some spoilers for some games like Legends of the Five Rings and Destiny. So stay tuned. That's really good. Have you seen the one with Tatum in it? Chris Tatum?
Channing Tatum?
Channing Tatum, yeah.
Chris Tatum was a guy from Chelsea.
Chris by his friends, or to his friends.
Really?
No.
I think we just jumped into it, by the way, with that's comment right there. What are you talking about?
With the what's it called? Magic Mike. It's one of the strangest movies.
No, is that the one where he's a stripper?
Yeah.
No, I have not seen that.
You know, he used to actually be a stripper.
I had no idea that's where we were going, or that was true.
But did you know he used to actually be a stripper?
I didn't.
So he used to be a stripper, and then he recorded Magic Mike, and he had all of his moves, because he used to actually be a
He was
stripper.
good at it.
Now, the interesting thing about that movie is it's so fascinating because it's shot as if it's like a normal person walking through a movie recording. It's like the perspective is so like organic and real. It doesn't look like a movie. It's like your everyday life just happens to be watching these people. It's crazy. It's really good though.
No, I've never seen it. So let's jump and skip around to some industry news now.
Are we in?
Yeah, we're in. That's what I said when you were like, "Have you ever seen?" That's where before we started, I was asking the question. I've mentioned this several times now. I don't know how to start into the audio without saying the word "all right." But I think the truth is, you start talking about whatever.
Yeah.
And
Channing
then
Tatum.
you were just like, "Have you ever seen this?" And it's like, why not start there?
All right. Well, we did it. Let's talk about the industry. Speaking of,
are we in it?
So let's talk about Champions. This is an interesting thing that's happening, and in fact, there's a lot of news this week.
It hit the fan.
But here's the thing: there's a lot of news this week that I feel good about our projection of these possibilities that are now actually happening.
Like over the past 2 years of this podcast.
Because Champions is using a digital form to essentially test changes to their game.
So if you're unfamiliar, essentially what's happening is
I'm not unfamiliar. I've been here the whole time.
people listening or watching are.
Oh, right.
There's a few things they're doing, and they're implementing three. Basically, there's one faction called Destruction, which is the orcs, that is kind of seemingly obnoxious in the game. There's ranked play now, and that's the main thing that's being seen at the top.
Everybody playing at
of
the top,
ranked
mirror
chain.
matches, etc.
So they are testing out three different solutions. They have this app, and they're doing it only in the app. And so essentially for the first 2 weeks, this thing's changing. For the middle 2 weeks, a different thing's changing.
Smash and mash.
For the last 2 weeks, a third thing's changing. And then essentially they are going to, based on the data from that, make choices on how to proceed. But this is a cool use of that technology that they're exploring, which is we can literally test this with thousands of people without affecting the physical game or and even casual play. It's not changing. It's just in the ranked play.
Yeah.
So they can gather data before making a choice instead of just
hoping that it works.
hoping they get it
So
right.
you put these changes in, you see what kind of diversity or what kind of win rates or how the game changes, and then once you have the perfect, most minimal solution, I think you put it out physically and you say, here's what we're doing.
And the solution that actually works.
Yeah, that's
Verify the
important.
results, right?
Right.
And I think John and I were talking about this last week on the cast, but I wished that Champions had been a little more thoughtful in terms of integrating something into the game that you can change without changing on the card. So in terms of that, there's some of it, like the point cost on the Champions could change, and that doesn't really affect the text so much as the building. But I think in X-Wing's example of they remove the point cost from all the cards, they now have an element and the upgrade slots that is completely digitally malleable.
It can't be confused because you have to always check it to know that it's correct.
100%.
So they've already got an app where you can build decks. So they already had the hardest part of the system.
They're doing the app.
X-Wing punted the hardest part of the system, which was actually making the app, ultimately.
Well, making it so that it just functions well.
Right.
But that's where they're good at the app. And I think in retrospect, I wonder if they now wish they had incorporated into the game mechanic itself. I think when you're coming at the design of a system, asking the question, how do I build in a tool that we can change later?
Let's add at least one variable that can fix any problems that we leave basically blank.
I think that's there will be a lot of successful games in the future, especially in this expandable game category. That is a big reason they're successful.
Yeah, modern
Just
game
just
design,
leveraging the
we'll call
tools.
it.
So
Modern
I
game
think that's
design.
really cool to see. And
It's important. It's very relevant. Now that said, I got totally destroyed by a destruction deck last night, and they didn't play any of the cards that were on the list. I mean, they did the champions, but like the Wog Chanter and the Smash and Bash, I think is what it is. The whenever Orcs leave play, eventually it does 12 damage, which is basically the next turn. That I didn't see either of those cards, and that's the first 2 weeks of testing, and I got completely obliterated. But sometimes, that's the weird thing, is like sometimes decks in Champions, because there's the random blessing element, will just hit the perfect stride. And it's kind of fun to watch. Like I was like amazed. I was like, this is like nothing, and I've been beat by destruction, but I was like, this is like nothing I've ever seen before. It was like, it did this, just the perfect combination of cards all at once, which triggered the first blessing, which got 2 more cards, which then were the 2 perfect cards to hit this next blessing, which got 3 draw off the top and played 3 empty slots.
yeah,
I was like, well, yeah, whoa, hey,
But I
you
think
got
that's
me.
one of the things I like about that game in general is that it's really fast on the app or in person. And I assume at like, bigger tournaments, it doesn't really matter. But like at bigger tournaments, they'll probably do best of 3 kind of situation or enough rounds and then the cuts best of whatever. Because what I'm realizing is that in that game, you're trying to build a machine that just unleashes on your opponent.
Yeah, it feels like a lot like Netrunner in that way.
Yeah,
it
just
really
like,
does. And sometimes
once it clicks,
you
it
just
goes.
get wrecked.
Yeah, and that's what once you start seeing that and understanding that, now it's like middle of the game, I'm starting to see the stars where it's like, I'm setting up and you're not doing anything about it.
Yeah, I'm ahead or behind.
And then like all of a sudden, it's 0 to 100 real quick.
Yeah, it does start to.
And I think part of it, I was watching Ryan play actually, and I was giving him some feedback. Because like he was just kind of going for the throat from the first turn. And it's like, you're going to run out of gas.
You're out of the gas so fast.
So
in that
like,
game.
what's the point of 6 damage on the first couple of turns? It's like it's not, unless it results in a bunch of damage down the road.
Yeah.
And so it was just really funny. But like that happens. And I think one thing with the balancing stuff on destruction, and we may get in, not right now, but at some point get into whether or not destruction is actually even a problem. I feel like because it was so good and so quickly found, that it's preventing people from, like I play against Chaos players all the time. I'm only playing Chaos. And they're not, like in my perspective, and I'm not like at the top tier of ranked or anything like that, but like commonly I see people playing Chaos in weird ways.
I've not seen a lot of good Chaos players.
Where it's like I don't think people are fully exploring.
When you come across one though, it's amazing.
It's like,
like
they
when
just
you see it.
slaughtered me.
People are kind of trying to play, and maybe this is kind of what you're hitting at. It's like people are trying to play destruction better than destruction in all the other factions. It's
Which
like,
you can't
well,
do.
the key is to like rush blessings and get all the cards that, and it's like, nah, you got to do what your faction wants you to do. And I think if you look at it objectively, destruction is at the top of the pyramid doing what it wants to do. But it kind of gets back to that weird game design philosophy that sometimes designers use, which is like, we'll give one of these factions best card draw, best actions, da-da-da, and it's like, but those are the only things in the game. So like if they're the best at those things, their units have to be super weak, and they're not.
Well, and like they're like, they are seemingly like somewhat, at least in terms of Chaos, they're a little weaker on like an individual little level, like a lot of 1s and a lot of like.
I don't think so, man.
Maybe not.
Their smashers are 4. Their other guys are 4 at the minimum, and they stack up to 6.
Well, the stacking's where it gets really crazy.
Or to 8.
Because like those 1s and 2s becomes 3s and 4s.
They got the spiders that's like a 6 on the third corner.
It's also the kind of thing where like where I feel like they tried to rein the faction in because they're so efficient at drawing cards that the stacks happen quickly.
Yeah.
So like they're actually way better.
They'd be reined in if they didn't have stacking, because then you're weaker. You can flood the lanes, but it's with weaker stuff. The ability to stack is too fast.
Yeah, it's just quick. So we'll see if it fixes it. But I think what I feel like I'm seeing is a lot of people not exploring the game and the factions as hard as they otherwise would, because this one deck got ahead so quickly.
Yeah.
That it's like, well, instead of like continuing to try to solve the puzzle over here, I'm just going to join the team. But I'm eternally on the solve the puzzle
Trying
team.
to solve the puzzle.
Yeah, it's like,
and sometimes it just never gets solved. I mean, sometimes things are just genuinely better, which that does happen every now and again. But I'm glad that they're using this kind of modern way of testing it out.
Yeah,
really
I think that's really great.
Let's talk about KeyForge. So this release date, did it officially get spoiled? Was it?
Yeah, I see it right there. On
official release date, November 15th. Also, see, what a weird, I'm checking the Reddit right now. Anybody else considering canceling their pre-order after listening to Shut Up and Sit Down's first impressions of KeyForge? Weird.
Maybe I'll have to listen to it.
Man, I'd like to see that. What could they possibly... Interesting.
That's
Wow. I need to get into that.
So
we'll have them on the show.
So yeah, KeyForge is officially coming
Yes.
on the 15th, so November 15th. That'll be fun. I think having that over the holidays will be a big thing, both for people gifting decks and just having something to play with the friends, family.
They definitely had to have that out for Christmas. It's the game that has to go now. It doesn't have a lot of time to maybe make it.
Yeah, it's got to go. And so on that note, just real quick, if you've been on the fence or thinking about pre-ordering KeyForge, now is the time. So whether that's a core set or even like a display or a couple decks or like a display subscription, if you sign up, you'll automatically get charged a week or two before it comes out. At this point, that's going to look like early November. You'll get a display shipped to you for free through the subscription service. But like it's now, like the next 2 weeks, if you're going to sign up and get in
now, because we're going to have to process those fairly quickly. So like there's kind of no more time on that. Also, Destiny making some noise. Finally, back in the game. Now, how long did we go without hearing anything about Destiny? Zach, tell me. I know you have a calendar.
Well, so 85 days. Approximately. It's plus or minus a day or two. So the reason I know that is that if you go on the Reddit for Destiny, at the top pinned was the announcement article for Across the Galaxy.
Okay.
And it tells you how many days old it is. And so that was the last time they said anything. And so anytime you go to the Reddit, the first thing you see is 62 days, 78 days, 85 days. So for those at home keeping score, that's approximately a quarter of time of a year. 1 quarter where there is not a word. And they did post the article earlier this year where Andrew was basically in the article saying, we're going to deliver 3 sets a year. That's our promise. When they come in the year, we can't say because this is an elephant to tackle on how to produce this thing. But in short, 3 sets a year. So we should get into the 3rd set. We knew it was coming. But like going 3 months, 3 sets a year should be about every 4 months.
Yeah.
So going 3, hearing 0.
Well, is the plan 3 months of nothing, 1 month of excitement, box drops, 3 months of nothing?
So I don't think so. As an example, the last set 5, whatever that Way of the Force. I get these set now. There's too many set names to keep it straight. Was supposed to come out in May, and it came out in July. Store Championship season historically has been like 4 months long, and instead it was like 7 or 8 weeks.
Okay.
So what happened is
A lot of scrunching.
This is speculation, but the set 5 gets delayed from May. They don't know when it's going to happen, so they hold off on Store Championships hitting because they don't want to throw Store Championships into like a very stale meta.
Right.
And then with the 5th set, we randomly got a notice, and it's like, hey, guess what? A new set of Destiny's coming out next week. Sweet. So it came out, and then that was like July 5th, I think. I think it was that July 4th week is when that set came out. And then immediately right after that, it was like, all right, here's your Store Championship kits. And the cool part was we had a new set and Store Championships. There were over 500 Store Championships in the U.S. alone, and most of those were reporting 30-plus players.
That's pretty good.
Which is great. But that happened from the 2nd week of July to the end of August. So there was technically that phase where FFG's not saying anything, but the Store Championships happening. So, and Gen Con happened in August. And they announced the Across the Galaxy set kind of randomly in the middle of July, a couple weeks after the last set, and then didn't say anything about it at Gen Con and have said nothing since. So that made it feel like this big window of time where they said nothing. But I have a feeling that like it just kind of got weird with the set getting delayed, with the Store Championships, with KeyForge, with everything they're doing, Gen Con, Legion, etc. So hopefully this means that they're back on the communication train.
All right.
And we start getting sets and regionals. They had the applications for that a couple of months ago. So that's supposed to be, I think, November through February or something in that range.
So you think we're back? I think we're back on the horse here. Guys, hey, why don't we take a quick break here and announce some winners?
Oh, yeah. Hey, so last week we announced a giveaway for Champions, Destiny,
You and Jonathan just went
KeyForge.
insane. I left and you guys like gave away everything.
Well, I had...
I'm surprised I saw my computer up there. You guys want to give that one away too?
That's this week. Just kidding. So you'll see in front of us here. Can we start with Destiny since we're on the Destiny train?
Yeah, and then we need to back up to Champions.
You know, how fitting that we have this yellow character board here
Because it
for
was
the yellow preview week.
It was a preview. I gotta tell you, of the previews that I've seen in my life, they were the least exciting previewed cards.
Well,
Some of the least.
as a color in Destiny, yellow is typically the one I care about the least. But I think the Lando and Kira cards are pretty interesting. Probably the most notable thing out of that preview is the negative plot.
All right, so tell me this though. Let me talk about these cards for a second.
All right.
I mean, there's a lot of text that's doing a lot of weird stuff. So the Falcon comes out, and then you attach the escape craft to it, and then the escape craft becomes a support.
Yep.
Okay. So once it like dies, or can you just move it off or whatever?
So the escape pod, when it's attached to a vehicle, becomes a support.
Oh.
So it's basically
So
a second support.
you can use it as a support.
It's got its
okay.
own die or whatever.
Okay, fair enough.
Yes.
And so then Lando's playing yellow vehicles from hand, decreasing their cost by 1, giving them ambush, and then if it's Millennium Falcon, you can immediately activate it.
So with the Falcon is insane.
Well, I mean, why is
works.
this always the case? The Falcon's always just like, it's like trouble.
I hate the Falcon.
It's like trouble season.
So the Lando's crazy though in a non-Falcon
John.
deck, in my opinion. Like if you go look at Lando's, he's like 11 points, I think.
Lando is
11, 15?
12, 15.
So like the ability to use that special to drop a yellow vehicle that costs like 2 for 1 and give it ambush is like
That's nuts.
crazy
That's
good.
nuts.
Yeah.
Do we still get to use Old Han? That ambush gives him shields?
Currently,
You
Old
can?
Han is
Old Han.
playable for one more set. Once we get to set 7, 1 through 3 are getting rotated.
This new Han is crazy.
He's awesome.
It's crazy.
Yeah, 11, 15. I mean, I think we're seeing a lot more of this where characters are 15,
Yeah.
so they can be paired really easily with other characters, and he's just got a really solid die.
Han's special deals 2 indirect damage. Then if you reveal a villain card from your hand, they lose a resource. If you reveal a hero card, they gain a resource. So you can do both of
You
those,
gain a
right?
resource. If you had hero and villain cards in your deck, yeah.
Which you could with old Kira.
So part of the problem there is they're both neutral. So if Kira and Han are in a deck, you technically aren't hero or villain. Although I'm not sure if you have to declare for hero or villain.
But you can reveal a villain card even if you're not villain, right? Because you can have the events in your deck, thanks to Kira.
What I'm not certain on is that neither of them are hero or villain.
Do you have to have it one or the other?
I think for your deck to be considered one or the other, you have to be one or the other.
But they have them right next to each other, surely.
But no, their point costs also don't fit. But there's a plot that says if all your characters are neutral, it's -1 points, and they all get +1 health.
Okay,
So
I see. They actually cover this in the article.
Yeah, what we might be.
I should read that.
I
should.
I don't read the rules or articles, but they essentially like this idea of like neutral character decks is pretty cool. I mean,
Yeah, it's all right.
to me, honestly, I feel like that's what yellow should have been all along, which is like I get that Boba Fett's kind of more of a villain, but at the same time, if the heroes wanted to pay him, he would do the job.
That's true.
So like
Yeah.
they kind of feel neutral to me anyway, but that's neither here nor there.
Let me talk about Dryden Voss. Can I go on a little tangent here? First of all, that die is pretty good.
He's a wild man.
But this ability to shuffle your deck, look at the top card, play it for free. I gotta tell you, I can't hide my how much I dislike these kinds of abilities in games. I
I
think just get that on the table.
early on when we were talking to Lucas, who was the original designer, he was saying that basically it was right after he moved from Netrunner when like there were a lot of abilities that made you shuffle your deck, and he was like, one thing I learned is that you don't want too many things that make you shuffle your deck in the middle of a game because that's not fun. So this is obviously preventing you from like stacking your deck and playing a card for free.
Right.
And he's kind of a wild character. You haven't seen Solo, that's funny. He's kind of just like a loose cannon. So like the idea that like you're just gonna shuffle it up and play whatever flips.
Yeah.
Because like it could technically be not great for you, depending on what it is.
But yeah, that's kind of my thing with old Dryden here. And introducing these kinds of mechanics to games, I think, is always troublesome because all that you're doing is introducing extreme variance to a game, right? So like the game that I play against the Dryden deck in the first round of Swiss, you flipped up 2 6-cost things during the game and I lost. And then you get to the third round and you haven't gotten a really good pull. You got 0-cost events that you're flipping up. And so it's just like you ruin somebody in Swiss because you randomly hit this thing and then they don't make it to the top table just on this could randomly beat anything.
If you spike up.
If you just spike up.
Yeah.
But it's like introducing abilities that just can randomly break the game open, to me is just like, why?
Yeah, because like with him, I can easily, if you run him elite, he's 20 points, and you also run cunning, which can trigger specials on other cards. So like you can play 2 or 3 cards a turn
Yeah.
pretty easily.
Yeah, so this could be the old chainsaw
Yeah,
like
and you fit like a Renda Price in who can. She has a special that turns another die to a side of your choice, and it's like special chaining kind of a thing. And I presume if you're building a deck around him, you're gonna play some of the bigger cost stuff because you're aiming to basically play 2 or 3 cards for free. But again, it's 1 and 6 on a special.
He just kind of gives me that blinking red light feeling.
Well, anytime the word free is on a card,
Hey, that's why, isn't it?
Yeah, it should literally be like.
All right, let's give some stuff
All right,
away.
so here's what we're going to do. We're going to choose a Destiny Booster Box subscriber to receive this, and we have a gray one as well. It's just not here. Character boards compatible with Destiny. These slots here fit our Saga tokens. The slots on the bottom fit dice, and the character goes in the middle. We're going to send 2 of these to one person. If you don't know what a Destiny Booster Box subscription is, you sign up. We automatically send you new booster or boxes from new sets of Star Wars Destiny as they release.
You're getting good at this.
You get charged a week or 2 before they come out. Shows up at your door usually on release or if not super close to it. Also, like right now, it's free shipping with 2 boxes. That's correct if you sign up. So,
yeah.
anyways, if you want to automatically get your boxes and not keep up with pre-orders, you can sign up. And occasionally we do stuff like this.
Here we go, subscribers. Thank you, Destiny subscribers. We are huge fans of you, and we are
air
now.
horn this time, eh?
We're now, we're now generating.
Here we go.
A random
Choo,
integer.
choo.
Now, it's worth noting. It is worth noting that this
Did I tell you
being.
I downloaded it?
Yeah, this is being generated from the randomness of atmospheric noise.
Random number generator.
Which is not from a time variable, Jonathan.
Yeah, John was all on and up in arms about it.
Which for many purposes is better than the pseudo-random number algorithms typically use during like computer programming.
So it's pretty random. So we have all our subscribers on a list. We're just testing the horn. We have all subscribers on a list. We're randomly picking a number, and we're gonna see which one gets to the boards.
All right, number.
Also, this yellow is cool.
I have picked the number. I'm flipping over to the spreadsheet.
All right, to find the person.
And the winner is Chris Glane.
Boom. Awesome. Chris, thank you so much for subscribing. Everyone that is a subscriber, thank you for doing so. We're here now.
All right, Chris.
You subscribed.
We're going to send it to your address.
You're going to mark him in some way?
Yeah, we're going to send it to the address that you have on file because if you didn't want stuff sent to that address, it wouldn't be on your subscription.
We got a problem.
Right? So we've got it automated.
All right, so next giveaway really quick, we have Warhammer Champions.
What are we giving away for Champions?
So we have this wooden token. I didn't say what it was or how.
Let's just talk about it. You guys have already ruined it for me. Last week you decided to give it away.
We didn't say what it was or how we're doing it.
Well, why would we be making these? We may as well tell the folks out there what we're about.
Well, I saved that for you.
So all Champion subscribers are going to get with the second set a dormant token. This is to mark. We noticed that whenever we were playing Champions physically, that it was very difficult to tell what was dormant on the board. And there's a lot of those kinds of moments, supernatural horror or abjuration from order, or even the fiendish thing that death has that across from it, it becomes dormant.
Yeah.
So all of those things are really important to know that this thing isn't going to rotate on the next turn. That's very easy in the app because it goes black and white and it has little Z's coming up from it. We couldn't do that exactly, but we can make a token. So these are some of our early prototypes from that. The finished one is better. So the winner of these can not only get 5 prototypes here, but also is going to get the better versions
automatically
in their subscription. So 1 box, 1 token on this one. So if you have 3 boxes, you'll get 3 dormant tokens, 4 boxes, 4 dormant tokens. 1 box, Zach, how many tokens?
1.
1.
Yeah.
1 token.
So we're gonna randomly pick a subscriber to get 5 tokens.
5 tokens, sure. Let's
Straight
do it.
up. All right, hit me with a random RNG.
Now, let me tell you, this is generated from atmospheric noise.
Tell me more about it. But here's the question, is atmospheric noise random?
I don't know. I mean... Is that what it sounds like out there in the atmos?
Nailed it.
I mean, is atmospheric noise? It's as random as anything else. I don't know. It depends. Are you deterministic or not? Don't get me started.
I know. I'm just...
Is it all unraveling from a single origin? Okay, here we go.
Mayhaps. We don't know.
I have the number. All right, I have the number. I'm going
Hit me
to
with
the
it.
sheet.
See, what I'm hoping is you pick my name.
The winner of 5 prototype dormant tokens to be included in the set 2 boxes, but these are going out now. The unfinished versions, right from the lab. We have Philip Hole. Philip, congratulations.
That's
we
awesome.
are sending that out to you, going up north with that one.
We've been on a string of giveaways lately. I don't know.
We're not going to stop. It's addicting.
It
love
feels
it.
good. I don't know. It's
All right,
nice.
congratulations to Philip, and thank you to all of our champion subscribers. That's
Final-
you.
final
if you can
giveaway
see me
here
pointing at you. and if
Before
you're
we
actually a champion
get into
subscriber.
our week and then the questions from everyone listening, KeyForge.
Yeah,
We've been using them on the stream. We got prototypes for an upcoming compatible set of tokens
I
for
love how
KeyForge.
the keys turned out.
I do
Waiting on
too.
the final colors right
Yeah,
now.
if you want to see them in action, check out our stream from earlier this week. It's on Facebook and YouTube.
Hey,
Is
let
it going to
me-
be on YouTube? I don't think it's up on YouTube
Yeah,
yet.
it needs to be up on YouTube. Check out this. I just saw this
Man,
morning.
you having a computer to look stuff up is like totally changing.
It does kind of derail the cast a little bit.
cast,
Maybe I
yeah.
shouldn't do it. But our live stream is posted on Reddit.
Hey, thank you for doing that.
Yeah, it's very cool. But here's the great thing. Look at this top comment. Always a lot of fun to watch these guys. Awesome.
All right.
Can you believe that?
We'll keep letting you.
And the avatar there, the username is Nope, It's Not Me. So I guess I don't
Who
know who
is
it is. Is it you? No, it's not me. So this is cool. And there's some Ask Covenants in here. You guys are great.
Really?
Yeah, everybody's awesome.
Huh.
Post-production work, man.
That's
You
awesome.
guys are. If you're on Reddit and you're following, this is great.
If you've been kind to us, thank you.
Yeah. We only like
Anyways,
people who are kind to us.
So we have a ton of different prototypes for this game.
Let's
and
send
we're,
'em.
we're sending a bag to one of our KeyForge Display subscribers. Again, you can sign up, automatically get a display of 12 decks every time a new KeyForge set comes out.
Are we sending the whole bag? Like a whole
No,
bag
not
of
the
stuff?
whole bag.
Are we sending only these? Or
Well,
what?
this is a sampling of
Just look at the
prototypes. If you're listening, you can hear this.
Isn't that pleasant?
It's a big bag.
It's like a Radio Lab episode.
Well, it's like far enough away that it shouldn't be too aggressive. Anyways, we're going to be sending a good amount of those to a subscriber.
All right. Did you know that we're generating this number from atmospheric noise?
I always have wondered if that's random or not.
289, 253. I'm just going to start listing some numbers to get it out of my head. I'm not even going to put it in the universe because I could impact the atmospheric noise if I'm thinking too hard.
Well, I'm hoping that I get this. Can you pick my number?
Yes.
Don't actually.
We'll see.
Or if you do,
if
just
it
pick the
happens,
next
we're going to
person.
repick. All right.
Actually, if you land on me, I'm giving everyone.
we have the, that's like house money.
Yeah, I'm
It's like
sending everybody prototypes.
All right, here we go. I have the number.
And Zach.
And the winner of a random assortment of KeyForge prototype tokens for our upcoming set compatible with KeyForge, the unique deck game is
I love your marketing voice.
Sean McLeod. All right, Sean, thank you so much for subscribing, and to all of our KeyForge subscribers, we genuinely appreciate that. We're about to get to send you your display for the first time, for the first set.
I'm super
We
pumped
have an
about
official
that.
release date. If you're not yet subscribed, free shipping, lowest price imaginable, not imaginable, but possible.
Imaginable.
Legally possible.
Paying me to get it?
And 12 decks right there on release or shortly after.
That's
you should
awesome.
do it right now because we are going to have to charge those subs pretty soon.
Yeah, and I think for all three of those games, if you haven't signed up and you're thinking about it, now's the time. We don't know when the next set of Champions is coming out, but it's going to come at some point. Destiny is on the horizon. It's the closest one, and then KeyForge right after that. So,
Just subscribe to all of them,
yeah,
guys.
again,
do
to
it
anyone
all.
that is subscribed, thank you so much. You guys allow us to do what we do, so really appreciate that.
All right, moving on. Let's dive into one thing that I think is very relevant. Legend of the Five Rings.
Bum, bum,
What I
bum.
talked about earlier. There's some movement in the industry, and I'm very happy that we're kind of what do you call it? Oracle. We're I feel a little oracly.
We're seeing the future.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, so today, the day we're recording this Wednesday, FFG announced a new L5R product type called a premium expansion.
Premium expansion. That I would have done a little bit differently, but the nuts and bolts of this offering really sound quite phenomenal. Okay, let me just read it to you. For you guys at home, in the car, in the house, wherever you guys
train.
are listening.
On the lawnmower.
Featuring 234 cards, 3 copies each of 76 cards, and 1 copy each of 6 cards. The best ones. There's only the 6 best cards. You have to buy it
You got to
3
buy
times.
3 times, yeah. Classic.
Actually, I imagine those are like one of,
Yeah.
can only use one
Like
card.
a house ID or an ID or a faction card.
I don't know why they do like that, because people seem to just love buying multiple core sets to get the collection that
That's
they
what I've heard. Is like, I love buying something 3 times for like 12 cards.
I love it.
Man, just poking fun.
Well, we've been covering FFG for a long time, so we've seen it all.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
we
it was done.
can talk about the good and the bad. A number comparable to the Legend of the Five Rings core set. Unlike previous expansions, premium expansions are not tied to a specific clan, nor do they form part of a cycle. Instead, they focus on developing You did it! Yes!
If you can't see it, I was reaching across the table to hit the air horn.
Instead, these expansions focus on developing specific themes and mechanics, rewarding every clan with a wealth of new cards in a single expansion. So wait a minute. You're telling me it's not faction specific, so everybody might want to buy it. It's not having weird quantities of cards, so one is all that you need. It's not tied to a specific cycle, so that its themes and mechanics are fully encapsulated in a single box. At the low, low price of $39.95, I mean, this is a pretty good offer.
Yeah, so it's about the same price as a core set. Comes with about as many cards, and I think even more important than the fact that everyone that plays might want to buy it, the more important thing to me is that everyone who does play, no matter what you play, has things that are interesting to them.
Absolutely.
So like when you release a Scorpion Clan pack as a Phoenix player, I'm just like,
yeah,
right. I really just don't. It doesn't matter to me.
And now, as an FFG, you can try to make the Scorpion Clan pack interesting by having one or two Phoenix cards.
But then you take away from.
But it's just not. It's not customer friendly.
This is not only just more interesting for everyone across the board, but I love the idea of like a single box exploring certain mechanics and themes, and also like a certain component of the story. Right? Like you just have this chance to, and if any game ever is going to be thematically and story driven, it's got to be this one.
It's got to be Rokugan.
And like every box, right? I mean, now when you're talking about the events that affect the storyline, it's like now it can actually affect the upcoming boxes like this that are coming out. So this is a premium expansion, which is a new word to call this bigger box that comes with stuff for everything. So question one, are we doing a subscription for this? Have you guys have we hammered that down?
I'm waiting to publish it. I'm waiting on the image.
It'll be out by the time this podcast is rolling.
What?
The image done?
Which
the
one?
Premium expansion.
All I see is
image?
is Newt Gunray over there.
Newt. Yeah, we're just talking to Newt. Yeah, we got a subscription, so we're doing it. And see, this is the naming conventions are tough. So now, like, if I say a premium expansion subscription, does it go through your head like, well, maybe this includes every expansion?
Well, and so like, because we have the Dynasty Pack subscription.
And the Clan Pack.
And the Clan Pack.
And the Novella.
And is there a supplement subscription?
Not yet. There hasn't been one.
So now there's going to be a premium.
We can't call it a premium subscription or everybody's confused.
Premium expansion
expansion.
Or a premium L5R expansion.
But how many people are like, is a Clan Pack a premium expansion? It seemed pretty premium.
Who knows?
Yeah, we got to explain it.
Now
that's
it's like,
fine.
Anyways, so that's going to be happening. If you play L5R and you want to automatically get that, you don't want to have to deal with pre-order or paying months in advance, just check that out. You'll be able to sign up.
Here's a question. Are they going to keep... Okay, so this feels a lot more like the benefit that you have. It's grabbing on some of the benefit that you gave up by not doing a collectible game, but still making it non-collectible. Because you have an explosive 76 new card meta that people have to solve.
So yeah,
do you do that for a month or two, and then can you drop a new one? Do you cut packs entirely?
So I'm still... I think the LCG puzzle has not been solved at all, particularly for competitive games.
This is getting closer.
I think it's a lot closer. So I would like to see like 2 of these a year. Where you
I'd
have
go
these,
6.
Well, hold your phone. The other problem is what I think we've seen with the like 6-pack 6 weeks is that in the middle, either you need to organize play, be keeping things fresh,
like crazy fresh,
or you need to have products coming out.
Yeah.
So like that's where to me it would be literally box hits in January, and then I have packs, basically smaller increments of this kind of a thing every month that either build on this or are totally disconnected. Doesn't matter. Then you have another box come out, but you give.
But it's not supposed to start a cycle. It says it right there in the article.
It doesn't have to be connected to the cycles. That's a totally different.
Do you cut the clan packs? Do you do all of this on top of the? I mean, if you're running the show, let's say you're running the show, you don't know the numbers or anything, so it's ineffective.
This game in particular, how would I handle it? What's the hypothetical here?
Tell me this: do you see an L5R future, a reasonable future for L5R or any LCG, any competitive LCG, that is one big, universal, explosive box every 2 to 3 months?
That could work.
You think that could work?
I mean, it's kind of like what you're saying. It's a collectible game without the cost of it.
Yeah.
It's like if every 3 months you just got a big box like this.
Yeah. So you spend $40 every 3 months. Let's just say you have to spend...
It's like buying 3 packs.
$160 a year. You can make the case that that's way less expensive than collectible. You still get the big moments of, oh my gosh, everybody's gathered around an exciting thing.
For me, I think
it's got legs.
What I like the most about the format, and this is just me, this is what I would do actually, is I would have a monthly release. The big exciting stuff's cool, but I would triple down on the uniqueness of a monthly release.
And like tie it into organized play really significantly.
It's just every time a pack comes out, the whole game should change.
Yeah.
It's not just here's 20 new cards. It's literally 20 new cards. Here's what happened in the story. Here's what that means. This character died. You can't play him anymore. This alliance was formed. You can play these houses together.
Yeah.
This thing did, that kind of a deal.
Sounds like a lot of work.
Is it living or is it dead? You know what I mean? Anyways, that could be a whole podcast.
All right.
But I'm excited to see them at least this whole game has felt like a giant experiment to me. I think they are just like realizing that they can do it better and are throwing everything at the wall. And hopefully in a year from now, they've learned what sticks.
Yeah, we'll see. Unfortunately, in these kind of situations, there's so many variables.
Yeah.
And it's like, did it not work because it's like years into the development of the game? Would this have worked at the first? Would it have kept players? I don't know.
And will it get people back?
It's a good looking box though.
It does look good. It's
pretty good look on the shelf
I like that dark, like jade green.
Also, are they just going ham on these direct orders? You think that's a directive?
I don't know.
I feel like the mood has turned to like order from FFG.
Well, it's like, hey, even right there it says, order from your local retailer or online here.
Yeah, with a giant order now button and text that doesn't go anywhere but the Asmodee portal. But that's fine. I mean, that's honestly in their best interest in the short term. I don't know if it is in the long term. We should do a podcast on that. We should talk about like direct sales, publisher to customer, because that may ultimately be the future if the local store might have to just figure that out. Right? I mean, it's just going to be hard to fight those forces.
Any other industry news? We'll come back to that topic, I think, on an entire episode.
Yeah, see, I had all this stuff pulled up that I think is interesting. We've got some weird tweets from FFG about Arkham Horror.
I like that made the list. Do we know it's about Arkham Horror? I think it's Arkham Horror-ish. They've been doing these like little weird clips of a photo with like these like cryptic, like dark quotes. That's the OP account.
Oh, is that different? Is it just FFG?
Click on the logo right there.
Oh my gosh. See, I'm already screwing Twitter up. I'm on DW now.
No, go back. Hello, D.W.
FFG or Fantasy Flight?
FF Games.
FF Games, that's right. Okay. So I'm kind of really into this, but it's weird. Okay, so like look at...
No, keep going.
Oh, they're getting a lot of...
You'll see it. Keep going. There you go.
Okay, so let me give you an example of everybody listen here. So we've got some beautiful art. It's that beautiful kind of tapestry style art. Two skeletons, ribboned hands together.
Yep.
Skulls exploding into light. Not into light in like a nice way.
It's like drifting up into light.
Yeah, drifting up as if there's a hole. And they're kind of in a coffin shape.
Less explosion.
74 reshares. Man,
What's
good
the
job.
quote say?
VI. You're at a crossroads. Reflect on the choices you have made. You shall be confronted with a terrible dilemma. Is this all leading up to Halloween?
Maybe.
What's your theory here?
I also wonder if it's from that board game.
Which board game?
Adventures Unknown.
No way. This is too Arkham-y. It's got to be a new Arkham game. This is death.
That's the lovers, the tarot cards.
Oh, they are tarot cards. That's right. They are tarot cards. They're tarot cards. Is there a new tarot game coming out?
I don't know.
I guess they don't need us to know or want us to know. Well, pay attention there, friends.
It's cool to see them doing that kind of weird thing. I'm into it.
Yeah, I like a little mystery in my gaming.
Let's go for it.
Yeah, okay. So odds are tarot game releases set in the Arkham universe
For Halloween. All right.
Boom. Let's test that Oracle nature.
Yeah, we'll see. I'll come back and quote that in a few weeks.
What happened in your week anyway?
My week. So the main thing, I'm trying to think about it this weekend, if anything fancy happened. I don't think it did. You know what I did this weekend? Two things that are notable.
Tell me.
One is I finally opened and organized my X-Wing 2nd Edition. And I'm playing my first game tonight.
Wow, you're slow. You're well behind.
Well, I was in Europe on my honeymoon when the game came out. And then I got back a week after that. And then by the time I got back, that's the same time we were getting the Champions reprint happening. And so I was distracted. And then Transformers came out and I was more distracted. And then I was like, hey, I need to, because it was just on my desk forever. And it's like, I need to sort this. It was also the kind of thing where I knew it was, and it did take me 2 or 3 hours to open and sort and organize and
it's
put
like,
all the dots together.
It's like you're playing a traditional miniatures game.
Yeah. And so I was just like, it's essentially 5 years worth of dials and cardboard to like sort and organize, right? That's what, when you played first edition, you get like one ship and it takes 2 minutes. Anyways, so I finally did it, but it was like I'd never had 3 hours I wanted to commit to that.
What's your first list?
Vader, Soontir, and I don't know the third ship yet. You know, it's funny that the Coruscant Open happened this weekend. That's other news, which is the that's the first time they've done it where it's kind of separate and like people had to qualify to play, and it's kind of, to me, like a mimic like Shadow Worlds. I think that's what they're doing next year for Worlds. You have to qualify and stuff. Course on Open happened, and it was a little weird because they had list building restrictions. I think there was like 100 players that qualified to come. But the list building restrictions, they had community votes, and you had to run certain ships at different parts of the day. The winning list, though, was Vader, Soontir, and Redline or something weird. And I was very happy to see that.
Wow. So now you're just a poser. You're just following in the meta's footsteps.
Luckily, I have about 7 years of time where
basically a net decker.
Vader, Soontir are the two ships I was running always.
Yeah, it is in character, so we'll give you a pass.
Anyways, so I'm excited to play my first game of that. The other thing that happened, I want to talk or hit back on. We had a podcast late last year where we reviewed the latest Taylor Swift album.
Oh, yeah.
If you missed that...
She's been making headlines.
If you missed that and you want to have an hour of glorious talk about Taylor
comment
Swift...
section, too. You can really learn a lot about it.
Well, there are two kinds of people. People that loved it and people that hated it. But this is not going to turn into a Taylor Swift podcast. Last night were the AMAs, and she was nominated for 4 awards. One was Best Pop Rock Album, one was Best Tour of the Year kind of thing. She won all 4. She swept it.
Did she?
Dominated it.
Wow.
Because I also went to a show of hers earlier this year,
yeah.
and it was amazing.
Yeah.
Well-deserved kind of a thing. So I thought that was worth, speaking of oracles.
So you're saying that the taste in music that we brought to the podcast was validated by the American Music Awards Academy.
At least that, yes. What does that even mean on it's popular?
Know.
But
it's all
I just thought it
fake.
was. I was happy to see it. She had it's 4 trophies, and it's that's awesome. Congrats.
Also, Imogen Heap had some very kind words to say about her. If that means anything to you. My week, I went to Stillwater this past weekend and did some camping, which was
a crazy
nice.
week. You were off a lot last week.
I was off last week, yeah, and I stayed at home and caught up on a lot of errands. Took the dry cleaning, that kind of stuff. And it's good to kind of settle down for a little while. That's really nice to get kind of all the things that you mean to do that you don't have time to do in your normal life because you're doing other more important things. You can actually get them done. So that's really nice. And then one of the key things that I don't want to lose track of before we get here is we had a conversation about what it would be like to handicap games like horse racing. Maybe we should wait for Jonathan to get on the cast because he used to be really big into horse racing.
I did. I remember seeing pictures of him at Kentucky Derby and stuff.
Not lose his shirt kind of horse racing. It's $20 a session.
Yeah, but into the idea.
Yeah, that's the good thing about it. You can bet $1 and it's whatever.
I
it's
think
fun.
Part of that on Monday after we streamed that game of KeyForge, and he texted me and he was like, I was hoping you would leverage the chain mechanic, which is a natural handicap. Because I had a deck that was obviously pretty okay, and you had a deck that was obviously pretty not.
Certainly, they were not good against each other. Yeah. Mine was very insufficient for what I was facing.
And he laid down the question how many chains would you need to start the game with for that to become an even match? And in hindsight, that second game we played with those same decks, I wish we had kind of gone crazy with it.
I think if you'd have gone to 12 chains.
I was a 12 chain kind of guy because that means I'm down 2 cards for the first 6 turns of the game, and then down 1 card for the next 6.
Yeah.
Which is presumably the whole game. But I think it down 2 cards, that might settle the score.
That might settle it. But that's a cool mechanic. But so here's the thing is you've got, for really kind of the first time, you've got all totally unique decks, which you couldn't previously if you had a tournament of 16 people. 15 of those people probably running the same thing.
At least there's probably 2 or 3 decks that have 2 or 3 people playing it.
So it was a non-variable as compared to a horse. Right? Seemingly no 2 horses are exactly the same.
I would assume that's completely true, yeah.
Whereas it could very much be many deck lists are the exact same.
Yeah.
So you have a completely unique spread of horses, in this instance KeyForge decks, and a completely unique spread of pilots.
Also jockeys.
Jockeys, pilots, etc. And the way horse racing works, if you guys don't know, that's why it's the most dignified way to lose your money, is you have to, it's a thing called handicapping. You have the racing form, and basically you look at this jockey's been on these horses and won this many races, and this is the rating and what you need to know. And then you have these horses from this farm, from this trainer, from this stable, previous history, had an injury here and has been working it out with, Jerry over here. And then you put all that data together in your head and you try to decide what's going to be the top ranking horses and jockey combinations. And so what if you could do the same thing for a KeyForge tournament. You have 16, the top 16 coming in, and then you say, okay, I know these 16 players. Or you get like a readout on the players, what they've done, where they've been, where they're from, what their playtest group is, that kind of thing. And then you get a readout of their decks. It's like maybe what's in them, what the history of the deck has been, how many times have they been played by this particular player, these kinds of things. And then you can have a little like ranking system, and that way the audience and the viewers can participate as fully as the people playing themselves. And the people playing have a lot on the line because they've got like this fan base built in that is rooting for them because they're essentially betting on it.
I mean, I think that's something that would be particularly cool at like, once you get to like a top 16 at Worlds kind of a thing with the game, where I saw similar with Destiny at Worlds this year. They had a system where you could draft players and whoever had the most points.
Hyperloop did that, didn't they?
That whole thing. So that could be cool. I mean, gamifying following the game is interesting.
It's very interesting.
I think obviously everyone playing the game has fun playing games, and that is making a new game out of the game.
Because you could just be great at handicapping. And not good at the game.
Well, and then like at what point do you have a game where you get to bet on the people betting to see who bets the best? I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it's too much.
Just
That's turtles all the way down, my friend. Let's talk about question 1 here. You can use the hashtag askcovenant on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or maybe even Reddit, because I saw it there as well.
The hashtag is important.
The hashtag is important. We'll never find it on Reddit except randomly when we're checking up
even
on
with the
it.
hashtag on Reddit, I'm not sure that we would find it.
We wouldn't find it at all.
I don't know if that works.
You can text message Zach as well if you want to ask a question.
Don't do that.
Question number 1, I am all that is comedy. A very bold statement.
Oh, that's his name. I was like, all right.
Jonathan's experience with Warhammer Champions reflects mine exactly. What is Jonathan's experience with Warhammer?
Essentially that the app allowed him to keep up with the game enough that he's still comfortable playing in person, whereas a lot of times normally he doesn't play for 2 or 3 weeks in person, he gets behind, and all of a sudden he feels like incapable.
So he gets to feel competent about the game. Okay.
At least
it doesn't
feels
hurt
that
that
way.
he's playing Destruction.
I
feel so much more comfortable playing Champions than I've ever been with any other physical game because of the app. Okay, that's the first comment. But then, responding to his or her own comment, that said, I do worry that the online game has now reached the point where the meta has shaken out and people are all playing the same 2 or 3 decks. I feel like if you're not net decking right now, you're probably having a pretty miserable time in ranked play. So I guess the question is this just the inevitable cycle of all trading card games? Once the set has been hammered and a couple of dominant decks stand above all, is the fun gone until the next release?
I have a lot to say here.
Yeah.
So I'm going to just dive in.
That's kind of what we're here to do, isn't it?
That's right, just dive in. So a few things for me. One is, as we talked about earlier at the beginning of the show, I think an app like this makes it so much easier for them to keep things lively. We're already seeing with Destruction, right? They're tweaking these various different things. Ranked play for the next 6 weeks is going to be very interesting because of that. People trying new things. I also think by the nature of the format itself, I would love to see, once they kind of get rolling, them continue to introduce elements that keep it interesting. And I think you could do this with, this card isn't playable right now, it costs more points, or these 2 deck cards can't be in the same deck, or any unique challenges or incentives.
They have a button called Casual Play.
Well, then
too,
that's my next point, which is
they could do all of that with Casual Play. It'd be way interesting.
Yeah, and that's where it's like you don't, in ranked play, maybe it is just the best deck that gets hammered out. But I also, to that point, even in ranked play, I feel like in a lot of games I've played, people find a really good deck, gravitate towards it, and they stay that way until the next really good deck is found. And so that's why I think I've always been very interested in finding the next deck, like at all points. So I think even in Warhammer Champions, maybe Chaos is objectively the best right now. But
Destruction.
Destruction, yeah. Sorry, it's just
it ain't Chaos.
Slip there. Technically, maybe
Dreams can come true.
Maybe Chaos is the best. But no, the point is that like, I feel like when a Destruction meta has arrived, basically, people stop looking and trying. And I think it's a new game with a lot of cards that people haven't explored because of that reason. And so like,
there's not that many cards in the set.
It's smaller than you think.
I mean, I played all the order cards for sure.
I played all the chaos cards for sure. Yeah.
So it's like 1 set, 2, and 3. I think the argument holds a lot more, where there's just going to be a lot more diversity to explore and be interested in. But I mean, the other part of this is like once you have 2 or 3 dominant decks, really in this case 1 or 2 dominant decks, and they play very similarly, you have everything you need to know to build an answer to it, right?
Yeah.
It's like you don't even have to worry, at least at from what I've seen in the app, from gold above, you're going to be playing against Destruction. So your deck needs to be 100% anti-destruction.
Either you need to be destruction or you need to be able to beat destruction.
At every turn.
Yeah.
So like it's harder when you're in the lower ranks because you have to fight everything. It's all the people scrambling to get to the top. But once you get up a little bit and you know that it's like 95% destruction, just make your deck as anti-destruction as possible. And if it still can't win, then there's a problem.
Then you should probably switch decks.
But like you need to have 3 Mystic Shields right now.
I'll
just say
you're right.
you got to have 3
gotta
Mystic
have 3
Shields
Shields.
if you have
So
a chance against destruction.
The other element of this is that I think we have one set. So like it's natural for there to be 1, 2, 3 decks that are just objectively the best with one set. And the ideal universe is that you get to set 3 or 4, and by then you have 4 or 5 decks that are like equally close enough to be good and can beat each other, right? But then because they can beat each other, there's not a dominant deck, which also leaves the door open for any other deck to walk in. So we'll see, but I think with the app and the testing and the data they're getting, Champions is set to be the healthiest long-term meta of any game that we have seen for those specific reasons. The only thing that would make it more likely for me is if they had incorporated an element into the game that they can change retrospectively, like point cost to next win, etc.
And they don't have faction mixing, which cuts out a lot of weird combo potential.
For sure.
I also want to say I had met many people in Netrunner. I think Zach Cavus was one of them. They loved it once the meta had shaken out. They hated it before that.
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay, these are the best decks. So now it comes down to who's playing it best.
Yeah.
It's all player skill at that point.
Yeah, and the hard part of that for me is like, if players are within a percentage point of skill of each other, then if the decks are the same and the skill is almost the same, it literally comes down to random.
Well, you
chance.
just got to be better.
Yeah, wow.
You got to be better than 1% better.
You figure it out. Good luck. All right, so next question here. Be better than 1% better. I'm into
Put that
it.
on the
That's
wall.
a t-shirt. That'll be the next Steven GIF. By the way, if you're making the GIFs of Steven, keep doing it. I love it. There was a GIF from the stream of him just like freaking out.
I had no idea I looked that ridiculous.
Yeah, it was awesome. All right, so Winton McKay asked Covenant, will there be more sets coming for KeyForge, more houses? What about rotation? Keep up the great content. Loving it. Thank you for saying that. Will there be more sets?
Can we just give FFG a call?
Yeah. Ring, ring. Hello. Are you going to make more money? No, I'm just kidding. So the thing about KeyForge is, I believe they even said it explicitly that there would be additional sets, and at the panel,
Of course there's going to be more
that
sets.
there's absolutely going to be more houses. It won't be the same houses. I remember
be different every time.
them talking about they might bring a couple houses into a set, and then there's new ones, and the third set brings houses they didn't bring back, and then on we go. And as far as rotation, maybe one of the best parts of the game
I don't like it.
is you just don't even need it. Like the idea of 5 years from now, someone new gets into the game and I have my Walker deck that has 3 factions they've never even seen in the game before, makes it feel so much more like I think the universe of KeyForge is trying to feel, where it's constantly exploring and discovering. And so the idea that you could show up to a tournament and literally never play against the same faction like or house in the entire day is amazing.
That's what the game should be going towards.
Max variety.
No
right?
rotation.
Yeah.
No
So
rotation.
that's the rotation. They haven't said. That's my prediction. As far as the other things, I think we're definitely getting more sets and more houses. Unless
Can
they
you
just
imagine no rotation though? How good that would be? Especially if like we kept a box of the original set and we just held it for 3 years and then we started opening those decks and just
cool, right?
we played in a sealed tournament with just the first set, Call the Archons. Or if like you randomly find these decks in the attic of your dad's
They're
house.
still playable and legal.
And they're still playable 10 years later.
Because it's kind of like right now, like if I find a box of old Magic cards somewhere, it's like, it could be that you have a Black Lotus and it's worth a whole lot of money, and that's great. But it could also be that they're just totally dead cards. Whereas like if right now you found 10 Magic decks that were actually fully legal and playable, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, random.
Down the road. So we'll see. And I also think that if they don't rotate, because like one of the concerns I know from a lot of players is like, okay, so I get to like 20 or 30 decks because I show up to the weekly and like everyone buys a new deck and it's kind of like sealed fresh. And then I get 30 decks and a new set comes out and it's like, how inclined am I to add another deck to that pile? But again, it's the kind of thing where it's like, if in the future you can still use these decks, and it's like, it's just interesting to me.
They should pursue that.
Yeah. Final question here from David Vedral. Where do you guys play your non-tournament games, the store or home? KeyForge will be a hit if FFG. Oh, so we asked last week if they a week or two ago what people thought about the success rate of KeyForge. He says KeyForge will be a hit if FFG supports it consistently. Something tells me a bigger if than we'd like to admit.
That's fair.
And if stores are happy to support a deck building game that brings in less profit than Magic, with all the CCGs coming out competing for time and money, I doubt any of them will get that big, but if the store makes space on a calendar and in the store, they should all do well. And I think that's one interesting note about the context of the release of KeyForge. We are seemingly entering another era of CCGs. Mm-hmm. Destiny hit. It was
out of nowhere.
First one in a long time, and I think it was Destiny. And it was like,
so?
oh, this
got
worked.
people's attention. It at least was would motivate them to continue moving forward, because I think a lot of those plans had already have been in development for it to all happen in a year.
Well, so Destiny was announced August 2016, and it came out in December of 2016.
And almost flopped, seemingly.
It thought it was going to flop.
So like maybe if it had, these games wouldn't have happened.
You know, that's almost 2 years ago now. So there's enough time for all these games to start popping up. But anyways, yeah, I mean, it coming out, I think that's what makes KeyForge so great, though. It's like, it's so cheap for everyone to play. So like, if people are coming in to play anything, then it's like you play, you know, Transformers and I play Champions, and neither of us can afford to play the other person's game. We can each buy a $10 deck and play that game.
Yeah.
Like, it's really kind of a unifying thing. So we'll see. For me, it feels like it's competing for avid card gamers for the second slot, and for the rest of the world as the introduction platform. Mm-hmm. So like,
I mean, is he competing for the second slot? Because I'm thinking like I've got Champions, probably number 1, Destiny number 2. KeyForge isn't competing with any of that, right? It's like $10, right?
Well, it's
not competing with my
but
lunch.
like in terms of like if you're actually going to play, like on any kind of like for people that are already into anything,
everyone will have one deck in their bag, right?
You may as well play this game.
Yeah.
Because like, why not?
So the question, where do you guys play your non-tournament games, the store or home? This is very relevant. This weekend I'm playing Arkham at home, not my home, but a home. And I was wondering why that was. I think that's a really good question. That's something that we come back to when solving for the store model, is like, why is it that even I would rather play at a personal space than a game space? Is that a failing of the store?
I mean, part of it is like you have to ask what the store is bringing to the table. Anyways, but really, I didn't mean to make fun. The reality for me is like you're playing Arkham, right? And you know who you're playing with, and you're not looking for new people to play with, and you're not looking for additional players to come to the table. And so like the store is offering a comfortable place. We have beer, we have snacks and stuff. But it's really a centralized meeting point. And that's one of the things that happens, which is like if you become close enough with people that you're playing with those people. Whereas like X-Wing, right? I am playing against my brother Tim tonight, but at the same time, he's coming because of the option to play someone else after we play a game.
Yeah.
And the person after that, and kind of a centralized space. And it's a bigger game, so playing it at home is kind of a wonkster thing anyway. Yeah. But you know, it's like you guys are playing on Saturday, and it's like it's almost more of a personal thing that's happening.
It really is, because in fact, I would see it as a downside that there might be a lot of people around.
Yeah.
And we're all super introverted. I'm the least introverted of them. I put on a good act for everybody. But we're all ultimately like don't want to focus on this one thing fully and not have commotion and noise.
And as an introvert, right, like same for me, it's like being around 1 or 2 people I'm really comfortable with doesn't take away energy.
Right.
Whereas being around 20 random people in the store who you haven't seen in a minute and want to talk to you is a lot of energy.
Yep.
So like I do both. I play some at home or at my friends' houses, and I also play a lot in the store. It depends on the game, I think, a lot of it, and what you're even after. But like if you didn't have anyone to play Arkham with, you might be playing in the store.
Yeah, definitely. All right, let's get out of here, shall we?
You got a question?
It. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Ask them a question.
We do need to ask a question. Let me use my pen here and write something as if I'm actually writing an idea. You know what? Let's play off of the question here from I'm All That Is Comedy. So here's the question: is a competitive environment solved early boring to play in? Tell me that. Until next time, thank you so much for listening, everybody, and keep playing.